We'll be live real soon. I am going to share this to my other pages. All right, we got a lot going on. Yes. You got to make sure all of those things are going well.
There we go. That was a little cricket. Dun, dun, dun.
How you feeling?
Feeling good. Feeling really good. How are you?
I've got to find out where I have this playing. Oh, I see right now. All right, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. A lot of technical difficulties we've been having getting this show on today.
We did. But we made it. We made it. And I mean, had we not figured it out, it would have been a very interesting show for sure. But I'm glad we
Listen,
did.
I am too. And I tell you what we need to just do is we need to welcome the people.
Yes.
Something is not, and things are, believe it or not, some stuff is still not going right now. I'm trying to get some things going with I don't know what's going on. It's just one of those days. Everything just wants to act up. Your camera is buffering. I don't know what's going on with your camera. But
I
you
can
know what
see
we get ready?
myself.
I can see you, but I don't know how it looks to the people. But it's okay. We're gonna get this thing going. Are you ready to get this
Yeah,
thing going?
I'm
We're
ready.
gonna do what we do. All right?
Always.
We're gonna do what we do. All right. That's the only thing I can say. So you know what? I'm not even gonna say anything else right now. My mouse is not working.
Well, if it's not one thing, it's another.
I'm serious. My mouse is not working, which is a problem because I need that to operate the show so that I can push the buttons that I need to push. Like,
Right.
what's really going on? You know what? Okay. Forget it all. Forget it all. It seems like we just have to talk. I'm really not believing what is happening right now.
My favorite saying, technology is always good until it's not.
Technology is always good until it's not. Okay, so we'll just do our own opening. We got a brand new opening, y'all.
We did, and it's so nice. I
It's
love it.
nice. It's nice. And y'all know how we usually do the show. We switch from one to the other scene. I do a little magic and stuff like that. We do.
Some transitions.
Transitions. We got a lot of new stuff going on, but things don't want to work right. They don't want to work
The
right.
people weren't ready. That's what it is. Like, it's just like, you know what? They're not ready for all of this greatness at one time.
The
We're going to reel it back
people,
and just unleash it piece by piece.
the
That's
people
what
were
we like to do.
ready. The people were ready. How am I going to get to my people's comments and things like that? I don't even know. But y'all try. Just because some things are not working here for me doesn't mean they're not working for you. But you can hear us. Let me know if you can hear us. Should we find that out?
We
Somebody
should.
go on YouTube. If I got somebody on YouTube, I want you to make a comment and let me know if you can hear us. Put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me. Somebody go over to YouTube and check the show out so that you can make the comments. Because unfortunately,
Oh, let's talk about it. Said yes.
let's talk
We can
about it.
be heard. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We are having technical difficulties, and this is the first time that this has ever happened. It really is.
Right. Which is crazy. I feel like this is like first episode type stuff that should be happening.
Yes. Like we're
What?
having, like if somebody told me this was like a big behind the scene bloopers, okay, I'd be down with
Right.
it. KJ, tell them what we're going to be talking about today.
Well, in the spirit of technical difficulties, we are going to be talking about honesty and self-awareness today. And so I think our technical difficulties kind of tie into that because, we're being honest about it. We're aware that they're there, but also just making sure that we have this conversation because it is hard to be self-aware and honest
Right.
with yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, it is important. And I feel like, some of the key things or some of the basic things involving self-awareness would be like just being aware of your feelings, number one,
Mm-hmm.
being aware of your thoughts is
Yes.
another good one. And you need to be aware of your actions, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
need to be honest with yourself. Why
Yeah.
is that important? You need to be honest with yourself because there's going to be some things that you're good at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. There's going to be I mean,
Yeah.
you might even be great at it. I like to think that
Right.
I'm good at doing this podcasting. So after this is all over and I figure out what's going on, I might have to do some self-reflecting. But
Right.
to really stay on topic, it really is important to be aware because you're going to be good at some things and you're not going to be good at some things. And
Right.
that's okay. What I want to ask you is how do you feel as a Black woman and with everything that's going
Mhm.
on in the culture and with the current climate going on right now, how important is it to really take that time to become self-aware? And or I tell
You
you what does that mean to you?
I think right now is the best time to become self-aware just with the climate and with everything that's going on. Even just being a woman and how, a lot of our rights and a lot of things that belong to our womanhood are being stripped away, discussed in rooms that shouldn't be discussed. Like, you know, and I think we need to sit back and really think about like who we are, what we can do, what we have to offer, and like really know yourself. Because if you get too involved or too indulged in everything that's going on and just looking and reading and hearing, like it can get very disheartening. And I
Mhm.
think just having that self awareness and being able to self reflect and kind of do that work on your own can help you not get stuck in the chaos of everything that's going on right now.
I got you. I got you. And that does make sense. I mean, like I took some notes, so I've got my notes over here. Got some
Hmm.
stuff going on over here, and then I've got the whole everything going on this screen too. But
Right.
I really found it important to take some notes because I wanted to make sure that there were some key things that I actually mentioned because I know that we could begin talking and we'll talk. But
Right.
what I have here is I feel like there are significant impacts of self-awareness within our personal life and within our professional lives as Black women,
Yes.
and in particular because it plays a role, and you kind of mentioned this, it plays a role in our confidence. It helps us
Hmm.
become better decision makers, and it allows us to have a sense of empathy, for better
Right.
understanding for not only ourselves, but for others, right?
Right.
That journey towards self awareness can also be challenging because it requires a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about
Yes.
yourself, maybe even about society. And for us
Right.
as Black women, that can be a number of things. That could be systemic racism,
Hmm.
sexism, colorism, right?
Right.
Negative
Hmm.
stereotypes. There's so many things that are put on us. And
Hmm.
I'm gonna this kind of ties this is gonna tie back into this conversation. I'm just gonna kind of stray a little bit to
Okay.
a television show. I know that you watched the show Harlem, and a lot of
I
people
do.
have.
Yeah.
I watched it, and in fact, I did a podcast on it on Thursday. I wanted
Hmm.
to basically have a conversation, but not so much about the specifics of the show, but I wanted to talk about like some of the things that the show actually bring up for conversation.
Hmm.
And before this podcast, because I don't binge watch, I've been just watching the episode. I watch it every now and again.
I binge watched it.
I didn't. So I just saw the season finale today. And to be honest, that show really kind of deals with a lot of stuff that we're currently talking about because we watch the characters kind of have to go within themselves and to begin to be honest with what it is that they want, be honest with the people around them. And that was each character really had to have a huge sense of self-awareness. What did you think about that particular episode?
No, I actually really enjoyed it, and like I said, I binged watched it. But I think it, as a finale, it did a great job really bringing the season together because, kind of like you said, we had to watch all of them go through a big moment of, okay, I got to figure something out, and just really sitting back and self-reflecting. But I think throughout the season too, there were definitely moments where you kind of saw each character getting to a point where you could tell they needed to have that conversation with themselves. They needed to have that moment of honesty, but they were trying to just kind of push through and power through.
Mhm.
And so by the time, the finale came around and you really got to see them sit back and reflect, and it even had me reflecting on the characters. I was like, okay, wow, that does make a lot of sense. Okay, that is a good idea. Just because a lot of the times you don't really get to see that side in a lot of shows, especially shows like that. Like, I think it was also good that we got to see them go through all of their experiences through the season and then come back to that moment of self-reflection too.
Right, 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 right. I got you. Um, I want to ask you a few questions because just some of these general questions, I feel like they put us in a space where you kind of have to go within yourself and really be honest and ask yourself those questions. Like when you're looking to deal with self-awareness, you have to ask yourself this: what am I most grateful for? And sit with that because people will say the easy answers. They'll say something like, "Oh, I'm grateful for the sun. I'm grateful for
Right.
my mother." Okay, well, I
Oh, man.
mean, you can be,
Right.
but to really ask yourself, don't come up with that immediate answer. Like sit with yourself and ask yourself that question like, okay, what am I really most grateful for? How many
Yeah.
people really do that? I don't know.
Not a
I'm
lot.
not I'm not I'm not so sure. But until you are willing to do that, it's just like you're kind of just floating around and kind of being a people pleaser. You're kind of
Hmm.
doing what is expected of you, right?
Right.
And for me as a black woman, one of the things that kind of gets under my skin, it really does a bit, is like when I continuously hear this thing about this strong black woman title.
Yes.
And I don't necessarily feel like I need that title. I feel like I am
Right.
who I am. I do what I
Hmm.
do, right? And I'm aware of that. What do you how
Right.
does that title affect you in any particular way? Do you feel a heaviness from it? Do you feel an obligation to it?
I can't say I do feel a heaviness from it. I don't feel obligated to be a strong black woman. I used to feel like, okay, well, that's what I have to do because that's the title, that's the narrative. But and it's crazy that you brought that up because I was thinking about this the other day when I was doing my hair for some reason. But it's like, we always say, oh yeah, be a strong black woman. But there are a lot of black women who were only strong because that's the only other option they had. It was either that they had to be strong to survive. And I don't think people understand that it's not the compliment that you think it is.
It
Like
isn't.
calling a strong black woman strong when that literally was the only way she was going to make it through whatever situation she was going through is just almost reminding her of the turmoil that she had to go through just to feel okay. And you're like, oh
Right.
yeah, you're strong, you're resilient. And it's like, well, what else did you want me to do? Was I just supposed to give up?
Right.
So it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't like it. It feels more like a condescending comment than an actual comment. And I know that it's not always meant with ill intent, but I just feel like you don't always have to be strong. Like you can decide to be strong some days. You can decide to be not strong some days. It's okay to not be okay. And it's great to be okay.
Right. I like what you said there. Like it's okay not to be strong every day.
Right.
You don't have to be. It's okay to have those vulnerabilities because
Right.
there's things in our lives that are going to bring us to those points. And I
Mhm.
feel like a lot of the things that this little, I don't know so much that I would say that is a turmoil, but this little discussion where we've got a certain side of men saying where women are not being feminine, they're not being vulnerable, they're trying to be
Yes.
the man, they're trying to wear the pants, and I feel like that strong woman thing that you talked about is one of
Mhm.
the reasons because number one, they've had to be, and
Right.
so that's an issue. And I think it's also important to know that male and female both have masculine and feminine qualities.
Right.
And there are going to be points in your life and things that you're doing at particular times that are going to call for one of those sides where you
Right.
might where you're feminine, you might you'll be feminine forward, and then there's
Mhm.
times where you might have to be forward with some of those masculine traits. And I
Right.
feel like that goes both ways, but the only way
Yes.
that you are going to be able to accept that and notice that is that you're going to have to be self-aware.
Right. I think that's really important too. Like you have to be aware of that and you have to be able to tune into it and know when to best use your energies. And also too, just kind of going back to that conversation because it is a conversation that's had a lot like men wanting women to be more feminine and less strong. And I just feel like you know, if that's the case, because a lot of the times we kind of present ourselves how we feel most comfortable. So if I'm in a situation and I don't feel comfortable, and not necessarily like I feel uncomfortable, but maybe you're not presenting yourself as strong. Okay, so I'm going to present my strength because, I you're not giving me that space to feel comfortable to be more feminine or to be soft or whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna keep my guard up until I know it's safe to put it down.
Okay, well, let me ask you, well, okay, because the words that you use are very, very important. And you said, I'm going to keep
Hmm.
my guards up. So in saying that and in keeping your guards up, like work with me here. Give me a little bit more. Like, what are you keeping your guards up for?
I think just to make sure, so I can admit and I can be self-aware that I have issues with control. Like I feel like a lot of the times I have to have control over what's going on around me, and so having my guards up is a part of that. That gives me the opportunity to know that okay, I have control in this situation. I have control of how I act, what I do, all of this, and excuse me, and then I'm able to kind of navigate the situation better because now I'm giving myself the power to like, okay, if you don't like the situation, you leave. If you don't like this person, cool, keep going. But I feel like if
Mhm,
I just let my guard down and I'm too nice and too friendly at first, it's so
mhm.
much harder to get out of. It really is. Like it
Wow.
is.
But you know what? And it shouldn't be. It
Right.
shouldn't be because of that honesty component. You just
Right.
gotta be honest. You gotta be honest with yourself. And when you make that decision to be honest with yourself, you know that you have to communicate that with the other person,
Right.
right? You just
Mm-hmm.
absolutely have to. And the thing about it is, it's okay. It's okay to, of course you want things to work. No one goes into anything, any situation, not a job, not a relationship, any type of thing do you go into and say, I just want this whole thing to just mess up and blow up in my face. You don't
Right.
you don't do that.
Like actually I
However,
don't want this to work.
but the opportunity for that exists.
Right.
And it's important to know that, okay, well, things started out, there was an interest, I really like this, but you do get to change your mind. But
Right.
the thing about it is honesty,
Mm-hmm.
communication. Um, and then you ask yourself, a part of what we're talking about in terms of becoming more self-aware is ask yourself, like, well, what is it that I'm afraid of? Like, why am
Right.
I afraid to let this person know that this is where I'm at? Think about that.
Yeah, and that's a
What do
good
you think
question.
that is?
Well, I can say because I've actually seen some posts about it too. Just like in general, when first meeting somebody, like there are a lot of girls who will give a guy their number just not because they're interested, but just because saying no sometimes can be a little scary. And you just want to be able to, you don't know how that particular person is going to take the rejection. So I think one reason is because it's like, okay, I don't really know how this person is going to take this. So I'm just going to kind of ease myself out of here somehow, some way. And it's kind of hard because it's like I can be honest with myself and I want to be honest with the other person, but it's like, how are you going to respond to this information? Like what's going to be next? I think that's really what makes it harder.
Wow. So that's an issue within young modern dating?
Yes. Like,
Well, go ahead.
oh no, I was going to say, like, even if you're out and you meet someone, excuse me, should have had my water today. You're out and you meet someone and they're like, oh, hey, I want your number. I want to get to know you. Like some people you can say, no, I'm not interested and it's fine. Then there are other times, man, why not? Come on, just like I said, no. And then you have men, and I've heard stories of men getting aggressive when women turn them down. So it's like we really have to
Hmm.
figure out, like in the moment, be able to read the energy and see how this is gonna go if we're trying to reject or say no.
Wow. That is very disheartening to hear, number one, uh, because you should be able to say no. And
Right.
if you're giving someone that you're not interested in your number, then you're opening up a pathway of interest and they're getting to
Exactly.
you. And so you don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
We shouldn't have to do that. Is there anyone in the comments who could make a comment on that? Have you guys heard that? Is there someone on YouTube? We got to get some of my stuff working here. I don't know what's working, what's not working. I know that people can't watch on or comment on Facebook right now because we're not live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube.
YouTube. YouTube. But yeah.
Yes, 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 we are. I don't like hearing that.
And it's not all men. It's not. But
Of
but
course
it's
not.
enough for it to be an issue. So it's just like,
I
you
mean, in
know,
our day, you know, I hate to say this,
in your day.
in my day, you know, we gave out a fake number. We've
And
given out a
see,
fake number.
my problem is, and I'm pretty sure people have given my number as a fake number because I've gotten some text messages. I'm like, I have no idea who this is. How did y'all come up with these 10 digits randomly on the spot? Because my luck, I'm gonna be trying to make up a number and still give out my real number anyway. I'm like, yeah. Oh, shoot. And I will say, I did one time, this guy asked for my number. And I was like, oh, you can give me yours because I would rather, if I take the number, then I don't have to contact you. This
Right.
man looked me in my face and told me to call him.
Mm.
I said, oh, my phone died. Because, like, no. Like, I
Oh my
told you I didn't
gosh.
want to give you my number. You wouldn't take no for an answer. I said, okay, give me yours. And he must have known I wasn't going to use it because he's like, call me.
Wow.
No,
Because he knew if
my
you
phone
called
died.
him,
He
you'd
would
get
have my
the
number.
caller ID. He'd have your
I
number.
was like,
See,
not he caught on to my trick.
wow. You know what?
Right.
You got to get another number. You got to
Yeah.
get a Google number.
I need to memorize my Google Voice number. That's what I should do.
You need to program that in your phone
And
as
just
your other number.
boop. Right. Like, yeah,
Okay?
here you
You need
go.
to do
And
that.
then the app delete it. Just have an
I'm
inbox
just
full of
saying.
messages. Because
Because that's horrible. That's
yeah.
really, really horrible. You, wow. Wow, wow, wow.
So it's a hard knock life
I
for
hate to
us.
hear it. I hate to hear it. Mm, mm, mm.
And then we got to go back to being, and then it goes back to us being strong or being hard exterior because we don't need no man. And it's like, that's not necessarily true. We just don't need the ones in that moment. You just might not be the man for me. Doesn't mean I don't need one. It's just not you.
Right, 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 right.
So
Oh my goodness.
it's a time. It's definitely, and like we're saying, it's a time to be self aware
It
and to be honest
is.
with yourself because you got so many things to think about and so many things you have to keep in your mind.
You do. I'm gonna tell you something that I think kind of hinders self-awareness, and especially as young people are coming up, like this whole everybody gets a trophy culture.
Yes.
I'm not into that.
Hmm. Me
I do
either.
not think that everybody should get a trophy. Like that whole participation, everybody's
Hmm.
good. No,
Right.
everybody's not. And
Right.
everybody does not deserve to have a trophy, because I feel like by doing that, you're setting young people up to think that they have to be rewarded for everything.
Hmm.
And if you're not good at something, if you didn't win, that gives you an opportunity to play to whatever your strengths are,
Right.
or to practice more,
Hmm.
and it allows you an opportunity to get better because you're not good. You don't deserve a ribbon, a trophy, a certificate, none of that stuff. And we're
Right.
really spoiling young people. Um, so I hear that you agree with that, but have you
Yeah, I do.
seen any effects of people receiving like rewards and false, like, I just want to say false big ups?
Yes, I have. And not even just younger people. Well, I'm young, but kind of even people in my age range. It even trickles over into the professional world because then we get into jobs, and if we've been given these participation trophies, and it's like, oh yeah, you're doing great, you're doing fine, then we get into these positions where we don't necessarily know what we're doing, but we think we're doing good, and we're not able to take that constructive criticism when somebody finally tells us, hey, you're not good at this. No matter how it's said, it's just kind of like, well, I've been good. I've been told I was good at this whole time. What are you saying? And so I
Right.
think it kind of hinders us from being able to receive outside criticism because one, we're not having those conversations with ourselves. We're not thinking back and saying, okay, how can I improve on this skill? How can I improve my talent? How can I get better? Because we have people telling us we've been good. So when somebody finally says, yeah, actually, here are some ways you can improve, now we want to be offended and upset. But it's like, you weren't really that great at it to begin
Right.
with.
It's a setup.
Yeah, it is. It
Is a
is.
complete setup. I really feel like that shouldn't be done. And especially, and when I say younger people, I'm glad you took it to your age group, but I was
Yeah.
really talking about like little kids, setting them up
Oh,
to feel
yeah.
like they have to win everything. Just like when we would play games when you guys were kids. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna beat you in this card game. I'm
Yeah.
not getting ready to let you win.
You used to beat us in Street Fighter all the time.
Right. I'm
Upsetting.
gonna listen, I'm getting ready to break you down
But I
in this
also
game.
think, right, I do think that was good for us though, because especially being that it was coming from a parent, because I mean, we kind of saw how to win, but we also learned how to lose. It encouraged us to practice, get better, because now our goal was to stop getting beat in this game by our mom, because who wants to admit that in public? But I already did it, so here we are. And I think a lot of times like that does set especially small kids up. They don't know how to lose. They don't know how to
Right.
not win. And I don't think it helps with sportsmanship either.
It doesn't.
Like it really doesn't.
It doesn't. You really need to, I feel like I would be doing you a great disservice by just
Hmm.
allowing you to win. You're terrible at the game. You're not
Right.
playing it right. What
Right.
what is that teaching?
Nothing. Now I will say, I wish this trophy culture would have been a thing back when I was in seventh grade and I didn't make the basketball team. Because had somebody taught me how to play, this would have given me that one chance. If they taught me how to play, I think I could have been good. But clearly I wasn't good, and they said, yeah, it's a no for us. But I think they could have given me a chance and taught me, and then if I didn't take a teaching, like if I didn't take the coaching well, cut me from the team, it's fine. But they
Listen,
didn't even want to give me a chance.
listen. See, you should have practiced outside of just that opportunity.
Yeah,
Did
I
you do
should
that?
have. I sure
Mhm.
didn't. I decided to
Well,
go to play a sport I was good at. I knew my talents.
there you go.
I said, you know
You
what?
went inside of yourself.
Yes. I said, you
Okay.
know what? You're not a basketball player. You can't dribble and run at the same time, but you can run. Let's go do that.
You can't
So
run.
it worked out.
It
It
worked
worked
out.
out.
I mean, you had a very great track career, and you're still in, still in the sport as a coach and coaching young people. So
Yeah.
that was
Hmm.
for you.
It
Now,
was.
what if
It
they
was
did
meant to
put you on the
be.
team? They put you on the team for what? Just to sit there and
I would
warm
have
the
been cute in
bench.
the little suit.
Exactly. Oh, she's so
Would have been
cute in her
cute. Oh,
in her
look at her.
uniform.
Yeah. And I should have, honestly, I should have known better trying out for the team because anytime I played, and you know what? I think it was elementary school that set me up for failure because when I would play in the little student teacher games, they had me thinking I was hot stuff. But also, I would always get hit in the head with the ball. And I think one of the teachers elbowed me one year. So that should have said something there. Like, maybe this isn't your sport. But they
Oh
made me
no.
believe I could do something. So I was like, oh, let me try out. Hmm.
See, that's what they were doing. They were trying to make all of the kids feel good. I mean, there's a
Hmm.
thing about making young people, inspiring young people.
Yes.
Yes, but it
Yes.
can only go so far.
Yes.
You cannot make them believe that they're good at things that they're just not good at. Tell the
Right.
truth. You
Eh,
want to be a truth teller.
right. And I think it's also good, like, even in the moments where you see things that they may not be good at, it's good to still celebrate their accomplishments and help them find other talents. Or if they say, like me, I'm not good at basketball, but they say, you know what, I want to learn how to play basketball. Okay, well, I'll help you learn.
Right.
But allowing them to take responsibility for what path they want to take instead of just saying, oh yeah, go ahead, you'll get a little trophy, you'll be the cutest bench warmer on the team. Like, if this is what you want to do, make sure it's what you want to do and that you're willing to put in the work for it.
Absolutely. And you're right. If it's really because and even with the basketball, even not
Hmm.
making the team and things of that nature. I mean, I understand what that is about also.
Right.
But it's how bad do you want it? Like if
Exactly.
you really wanted it that bad, okay, like practice over the summer, go back the next
Hmm.
year, try out. You've got to play.
Right.
You will not get good at anything that you do not practice.
Right.
And so that's it.
Hmm.
You knew how much you wanted it by how much you were inspired to learn more about it. So clearly,
I wanted that bad. Didn't want it that bad.
didn't want it that bad. And
Right.
that was okay.
Yeah,
Let me ask
it
you this. Are
was.
there some things like, sometimes people, there's things that they're just kind of, they have these fears. And
Hmm.
they can be small fears to larger fears. People fear opening up their mail, opening up their bills. People fear
Hmm.
just small things,
Yeah.
right? What is it, or what do you think it is that stops people from just kind of sitting with themselves and figuring that out? What is it? Because I will watch and I will hear conversations of people online
Hmm.
and people who don't look like us. They're having these conversations. People are watching it. They've got viewers, they've got participation. They're really trying to
Hmm.
figure out how to better themselves. What I want to
Right.
know is why aren't there a lot of people who look like us having those type of conversations, having those type of podcasts, doing those type of interviews? Why is that not available? Or am
Yeah.
I missing something? Or is there someone out there that I'm not seeing? I know that there are some, but
Right.
largely we're not in that space. Why do you think that is?
I think it's really because it's just not something we're used to seeing us doing. And it's always scary being the first person to kind of do that or to come out and say, okay, I'm going to have this conversation. I'm going to be the person to open this space for us to talk about things like that. I think it is starting to become more of a topic now. Like more people, more of us are starting to talk about it, but just I think it's just like you said, it's a fear of like being the breakout person. And I also think it's a lot to take on. It's like, okay, do I want to be the person leading this crusade? Like, am I willing to go out and do this? Do I want to be that person? Do I want that to be my brand? Or so
It's a tough space for us, like I
yeah.
say, because there are many people that I really enjoy. Like, I love a great conversation, and I can
Mm-hmm.
watch a few on YouTube. In fact, I don't watch very much TV, but there are
Right.
people that I really enjoy watching. I watch people like Lewis Howell.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? I like Joe Dispenza. It's just a lot of people who are having conversations and just thought leaders out
Mm-hmm.
there. And I'm like, well, where are we at? Where are we at in this space? Now I'll see them with thousands of persons, at their workshops, listening to their commentary.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like for us as Black people, I don't know where or who it is that we feel like we want to listen to. And it's not even so much listening to a particular person. I feel like it is a lot of, well, let's just open ourselves up to the conversation. Let's just
Right.
introduce ourselves to some thoughtful content.
Right. Yeah.
There's already so many other things in the space that, entertainment is entertainment, and I love it too.
Right.
I'm going to scroll and I'm going to laugh at some things. But for me as a content creator, I don't really look to add to that space, and I don't have anything to add to that space. But I do want to know, like, can we talk? How
Right.
is it, or what is it that you feel like as a content creator, a person who is online, a person who is involved with a podcast? What are some things that you feel like would draw people of your age bracket or yourself to conversations like this or to podcasts like this?
Right. Well, when it comes to creation and just content in general, I always remind myself, like, as a whole, and especially me, like, I'm nosy. So if I notice that someone is having a conversation and they're being vulnerable, one, just they're willing to be vulnerable and to share themselves like that is going to get me in. And then I'm going to stay because now I want to know what else happened. I want to hear the story. I want to hear what else you have to talk about because now my nosiness has kicked in and I'm invested. But so it's kind of a twofold. So it's like just being willing and able to be that vulnerable with a bunch of strangers, honestly, is what gets me in first. Because like, wow, if you're willing to share whatever you're sharing, like I'll listen to it.
Mhm. Well, I tell you something. Because in those beginning stages, it's not even like you're really sharing it with a whole lot of people,
Right.
just like we're doing a live right now. And because we're not in all of the spaces that we typically are with our
Mm-hmm.
podcast, by not being able to be live on our Facebook spaces, we've got we've got 4 people watching, and I
Mm-hmm.
suspect you're watching on YouTube. Now,
Right.
I don't know where that falls in the algorithm. I don't know if those numbers are accurate because like I said, we're not broadcasting in the typical places that we would be broadcasting in. So right
Right.
now, we've got 4 people in here with us live. Right now, we don't really have people who are commenting in our chat, which is not typical for us.
Right.
Typically by now, there would be people who would be commenting in our I'm gonna go to one of our pages and kind of like see, but typically we would have people who would be commenting. We would be having an active chat along with the
Mm-hmm.
conversation that you and I are having. So it's
Right.
really, really different. And I was curious to find out like what this show was gonna be like, not being in the spaces that we're typically in.
Mm-hmm.
What is your
Let me
thought?
tell you, just about us not being in our normal spaces.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say our Facebook following, some ride or dies.
They
They're
they
definitely
really are.
heavy, but I will also say I can tell that when people like a platform, that's the only platform that they're going to use and the only one they'll engage on. So,
I
and this
realize it.
kind of is kind of showing that too. It's like, okay, so we know our people who are on Facebook, who are watching on Facebook, they're going to watch on Facebook,
Hmm.
but they're going to watch only on Facebook. And then we
Only
have
there.
people who, of course, will come to YouTube. So thank
Hmm.
y'all.
You
But
are
yeah.
absolutely right. I mean, it is so obvious. It really,
Mm-hmm.
really is. Because I'm looking, I'm scrolling right now. And of course, this is very, very different for us. Our numbers are really, really quite different. If we have
Mm-hmm.
somebody out here who is watching on Facebook right now, go ahead and make a comment. Let us know what are some things that you feel like could change the dynamic of people in our space who look like us, of having different types of conversation, thoughtful conversations. Yes, we know
Mm-hmm.
that we have the podcasts that bring you the tea. We have the podcasts that are talking strictly entertainment, but
Mm-hmm.
thoughtful conversations about self-work. Where you guys at with that? Hit us up in the comments. And the
Yes.
fact that my computer is just going crazy this time is another thing that's kind of add some craziness into the
Yeah.
into the
I'm
podcast.
telling you, this was just a crazy day because
It really
y'all
is.
if y'all could have just heard the voice earlier.
Go ahead, tell them.
I got on here and we're doing our mic check and I was like, wait, that's not my mom. Who is this talking? Like it sounded like a radio host at one point. Then she sounded like T-Pain. Then she sounded like an alien. I was like, mother, I don't know what's going on, but we got to figure this thing out.
I don't know. But what happened is this transparent moment. When my son was home for spring break, he was working on a project. So he was using my setup and he was doing some voiceover. So he has like a voice modification app that he that he put on my computer. So I don't know. I don't know anything about this voice modification thing. I'm not really into audio like that. I'm learning a whole lot. I've started a new podcast, so I'm learning some things about audio finally. I've challenged myself. But back to the story. So he's got this voice modification app on my computer. I don't know anything about it. I see all of these buttons. I see all of these controls. I'm lost. I'm lost. I'm completely lost. Kalia is trying to help me figure out, and I can't tell like how it sounds on the other end because I'm just hearing myself through my headphones. I'm hearing the mic, but I don't
Right.
hear it going through the app, whatever modifications it's making to the voice. So I don't know what she's talking about. And we had a
Ooh,
time.
we did. Because at first I was like, are my headphones acting up? Like, what's going on? But we had a time, but we made it. We made it.
We did. I see Kawana James right now. She has a comment. Why don't you go ahead and read that, KJ?
Yeah, she said, yeah, you're right. Your platform, and maybe Boyce Watkins, is all I know that talk about topics other than the Real Housewives.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
I've never saw the Real
I
Housewives either. So I couldn't talk about them if I wanted to.
but I wanna ask you a question, Kawana. Why do you think that is? I mean, I'm sure that there has to be someone, but it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
come across my algorithm. So I'm wondering
Right.
if are they not promoting Black content creators who are
Mm-hmm.
actually doing thought-provoking content like they are other podcasts and platforms? Because I just cannot believe that I know it's out there, but I don't see it. I look
Right.
for it and I want people to introduce me to it, and I don't see it.
But you know what? Because now that that just made me think about something too. Just how our society is programmed and just entertainment in general. We have to think about the fact that a lot of the things that are most popular and the most promoted have some type of drama, some type of tea spilling. Because I was actually thinking about, and I saw someone post about it too. Tia and Tamara from Sister Sister used to have a reality show, and it was nice. It was wholesome. It wasn't a lot of drama. I mean, typical like family stuff, but nothing extremely crazy. But their show didn't last long. But yet we have other reality TV shows. We have the Housewives and all the basketball wives, and all the wives, just wives. And those shows seem to thrive and they keep going. But a lot of the time it's because we're just in a time where people want to consume, they need some type of drama, they feel like, to be entertained, or something like they need something to excite them, I guess. Whereas, just wholesome content and wholesome conversations, I guess, don't do it enough for the masses, which is why we don't see a lot of it.
Well, see, I want to ask this too. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that has something to do with it, but even on a deeper level, I'm wondering if, like, like how radio promotes a certain content of music, but we
Yeah.
know that there's different music out there. There's good music out
Yeah.
there that is not being played on the radio. I'm wondering if these social platforms are doing the same thing with Black content creators.
Oh, yes, definitely. I don't think there's a lack of suppressing Black content creators at all. For sure. Like, I don't know how algorithms work. I don't quite understand them yet, but I'm pretty sure it's something written in there where our content does not get out as much as our other counterparts.
I'm sure. And see, the thing for me is, like, that makes it difficult when it comes to actually how you're going to title your content, how you're going to
Mm-hmm.
hashtag your content, because then it makes me, or I'll speak for myself. It makes me
Mm-hmm.
wonder if, should I put Black podcast or a Black content creator? Is that pushing me out of an algorithm where it could be pushed forward? Because if I'm talking about self-awareness, and Lewis Howell is talking about self-awareness, and I mean, we're talking about different scales. I know that we
Mm-hmm.
are a smaller beginning podcast,
Right.
but my point is, where how does that work out? I don't know. I wish that I knew how that really works. I even wish that there were some other content creators that I could talk to, and I think we should challenge ourselves to like get a couple other content creators and
Mm-hmm.
kind of have a little round table and talk about some of the things that we like to discuss and how we feel the algorithm works for us. Like,
Yeah.
how is it that we should be how should we title, or how should we hashtag or promote our content, because it's not
Right.
being pushed. And we could be talking
Mm-hmm.
about some of the very same things, but if we talk about something that is salacious, well, you got people
Yep.
coming. If I do something
Mm-hmm.
with it, dance on TikTok and see how many hits.
Right.
And I tested it out because it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I could be on here and I could be talking something serious and it'll get a certain amount of hits. And I could dance and it'll get a certain amount of hits.
You was dancing on TikTok. I missed this.
Come on, you know that one that got I
Oh, from
yes.
Homecoming.
Yeah,
Yes,
it went
yes.
viral.
Yeah. You got
and,
more
and
views when
and
I posted it than anything else I posted of myself.
that's what I'm saying. It went
Yeah.
viral,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
and I wasn't even being serious, and I wasn't even really dancing. I was more just just having
Yeah.
fun. I mean, it was at homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
It was real. I mean, I wasn't doing it for the
Right.
sake of trying to do a viral TikTok. It was homecoming. I was having fun. We were all having fun. And we were
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like dancing. Put the thing up, and that is the most views, like, and quick, very, very
Yeah.
quick. And I also noticed too that, and maybe it's just me, somebody let me know, Kawana, this would be if you could answer this question. But I also noticed, because see, we're banned going on Facebook Live right now. Don't ask me why. We get hacked, but we get penalized for it. I don't know how that works out. I
Right.
don't know how they figure, okay, somebody hacked them, we get ready to stop them from going live. I don't know. I don't that don't
Right.
make sense to me. But
None.
it's almost over, but still, that kind of, when you kind of have to start over from scratch with people, that's not an easy thing
Mhm.
to do, number one.
It's
So
not.
it really isn't. It really isn't. And also, in terms of how they keep changing the algorithm, I don't even know if the same people are seeing things that we post on our pages. Like, how many people, if you've got 5,000 followers, or we won't even say five, let's say 500. You got
Mhm.
500 followers, right? So if you make a post, are these 500 people able to see this content? Is it coming across their page?
Right.
I don't think those numbers, it doesn't make sense.
It
It
doesn't,
doesn't
and
make
I
sense.
can tell it doesn't because like even when you post things, like I might not see it until like 3 days later, unless I go actively look for something that you posted. And if I didn't get a lot of the notifications for the Brown South girls, I don't see those posts in a timely manner either.
Right.
And it's like I'm
So
half
that's
of the page. How y'all not gonna show me? I'm confused.
so that's what I'm asking.
Hmm.
Is our content being pushed as Black creators, or is it being shadow banned? What do y'all think out there? If you think the content of Black creators is being shadow banned, put a one in the comments. Make a comment. Anybody who feels like, if there's somebody out here who is watching on YouTube and who can make a comment, let me know.
I
Brown
went
South
ahead and put
girls,
that
I
one
agree
in
with
there.
you.
Yeah, me too. These Brown South
Absolutely.
girls, they be saying some stuff.
Yeah, I
I like
agree.
them.
This is from me. Yes,
Right.
it's not coming across.
It's
It's
not.
not coming across.
And
So go ahead.
I was about to say to your point of the hashtags too, because I thought about that too. I'm like, well, dog, should a hashtag, black, put black, whatever in the hashtag? But I also noticed, like, I find myself when I'm searching for something particular, those hashtags are actually very helpful, especially when it's something I want to see that I want to see a black creator do. So it's like, it's, it's not a win-win. It's almost like you don't know if you should do it, but then I wouldn't want to stop because there are people who will use the hashtags because that's what they want to see.
It's like it can work for you on one side, and then on the other side,
Yes.
it's not. It's.
Yes. Hmm. I was
I
trying to think of
got
that
you.
analogy, but those words were not coming to my head. But yeah, it's like doomed if you do it, doomed if you don't.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Me either. Me either.
But I am
Cause I
aware.
right, but
We have to
still gonna keep
we
going.
you have to. Like, how do you decide not to continue? I mean, I remember with our very first guest on the very first
Hmm.
episode, and that was over
Yes,
a year ago.
it
We talked
was.
with Dear Sis from the Dear Sis podcast,
Hmm.
and she was
Yep.
talking about how wide open the space to podcasting was for Black content creators and
Hmm.
podcasters, actually. And do you remember the number that she told us that usually people give up? It was a low number.
It was either I think it was three. She said people usually don't make it past the third episode,
Wow.
which I mean, I don't think that's fair to yourself because you're not really giving yourself a fighting chance if you only go till the third episode. Like you're not really giving yourself time to build, yourself time to grow. And I know there's a lot of pressure to be like, oh yeah, I'm doing this podcast. Boom, I need to be an overnight sensation. But that's not how everything happens. But if you don't give yourself the time to build and grow, you'll never know. Maybe your fourth episode would have been the one that took off. It might be a 14th episode, but
Mhm.
eventually you will build and find your audience. You just have to commit and keep going.
Consistency is definitely key. I think
Hmm.
where a lot of creators get disappointed, and particularly podcasters, and especially if they're solo podcasters, I can kind of understand how it can be disappointing, because if you are, you're investing your time into this thing, and they feel like, okay, well, wow, I've got one person, I've got one person watching. I could see that being disappointing for them, but it goes back to what we were talking about. Well, how much do you really want to do this? How much do you really want to do this? And with only a few videos, you don't really have a whole lot for people to really go watch. So you're not really
Right.
going to be pushed yet. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you know any? Are there any content creators you know within your age demographic, or just in general at all,
That I know personally?
that you know personally?
No. No,
Really?
I don't. Mm-mm.
Well, let me ask another question. In your mind, when we decided to do this, because we had been talking about it for a while, right?
Yeah.
And we finally just said, okay, you know what? We're just going to stop overthinking, and we're just going to just jump in there. And that's really
Right.
what we did. We just jumped in here. But in your mind, what do you think it takes? What do you think it takes to sustain? What do you think it takes to get to a place where you feel like, okay, yeah, this is where I want to be with this podcast? Did you have anything in your mind?
Honestly, I think for me, it's just about kind of like we said about the consistency. Of course, I want to do well, but I didn't put pressure on myself to want to reach like numerical goals. So I never said, okay, I want to make sure we get this many followers and have this many views on each show, because I really wanted to focus on just the consistency and actually doing it and keeping up with it. Because, like you said, we talked about it for a really long time. And so it just felt good to be in the space and doing it. And I also just feel like, whether we have 4 viewers, 400 viewers, we're reaching somebody. And there's somebody out here who needs to hear the conversations that we're having. It might be somebody watching episode 1 right now. And they might take something from that conversation, because it'll always be there. So my goals were just to be consistent and to keep having the conversations. And I knew that everything else would grow with us.
Right, right. Well, you said it. I almost have nothing else to really add to that. Consistency is definitely the key. And it is important to just continue to have the conversations. If it's something that you want to do it.
Yeah.
Do it. But it's like you say, it's not going to be overnight. You got to put the work in, and it's not easy. A lot of people feel,
Right.
and I can understand why people could give up after three episodes. I still thought that was a low number, but I know it can happen, because
Right.
it's a lot of work. It's not just sitting behind a camera or sitting at your computer. There's so many other things that go into it. It really
Right.
is a full time career. And then the beginning stage is just like a business. You have to build it. The average
Right.
business doesn't really see success within the first few years. And I don't know many podcasts that see success until the first few years, because they've got to have hundreds of videos, like hundreds and hundreds of videos. And when you've got 3 or you've got 14, you've got a way to go. I mean,
Right.
from 3 to 14, you've gotten somewhere, but you've got a long way to go. So you've got to step back and look at yourself and say, okay, I've gotten this far. And whatever it is that inspired you to keep going from 3 to 14, you got to take from 14 to 50, and from 50 to 100 to 200. And that is what people want to see. And not only
Yeah.
that, when you continue to make those shows, you're going to get better,
Right.
right? So
You are.
that's going to
Yeah.
happen as well.
Yes. And we also got another comment. So just says, keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, they mix it up and everyone doesn't see everything, and it's definitely on purpose. I
I
agree.
think I got to agree with Kawana. I
I
think there's
agree.
something else behind something else behind it, because there's a lot of things that I know that I don't see. And so I know if there's things that I don't see, I know that there's things that we put out that people are not seeing. And for the number of followers, if the likes or the comments don't match the number of followers, I'm wondering, like, well, who's seeing this? Are they putting this in the
Right.
faces of these followers? And I don't think that they are.
I don't either. And I know we're getting close to time, but I will say just I look at the analytics on Instagram
Mhm.
and I've noticed like whenever it shows me who my contents reach, it reaches more of my non-followers than my followers. Like I get so much more engagement from people who don't follow me, but then the non-followers don't become followers. So I don't so like I don't know how they're pushing it, but but I can tell from that at least that it's pushing it to people who don't follow me. But then the people it's
It's
pushing
an
it to
interesting.
aren't following. They're engaging. They're just not following me, which is
It's
fine, but
interesting.
it's weird.
It's just a whole new world. It's a new world for us. I know people kind of look at
Yeah.
us and they think we've been in the game for a long time, but we haven't. We're still new.
Hmm.
It's been a year.
Yeah.
We're still having fun. We still like
Yes.
doing it. And even though
Yes.
today met us with a host of challenges, and believe me,
Yeah.
a lot of them, I haven't.
Yes.
This is probably the worst show production wise that we have
Yeah.
done so far. Would you agree?
Yes. And I
Just
really wish we were recording from the beginning, honestly, because you just got like all I can do is laugh. All I can do
listen,
is laugh.
this show has been such a challenge. Everybody who has stuck here throughout the challenge, let me just say thank you. Let me let you know that, hey, we love you, because you have sat through something that we almost could have just left ourselves.
Right. We could have, you know what? I'll get me out of here. That man that was on the news, we got, get me out of here.
You're like,
Just
you know
start
what?
throwing stuff.
Just
You
never
know what? Never
mind.
mind.
Just,
Do
I'm
it.
going.
Forget it. We'll see y'all next month.
Next month, maybe things will get better. I don't know. I don't
Right,
know.
look, just put
But you
up a
know
screen
what?
for an hour. They'll be like, we'll see y'all in April.
We having too many problems.
Due to a lot of technical difficulties, we just go try again next month.
A whole lot. Is it the rain? Hey, did you get a lot of rain where you were today?
Earlier in the day, yes.
Hmm.
But then the sun came
Yeah,
out. So it's real pretty now.
we didn't get. It's been rainy here all day, all night. It
Really?
has
It was
been.
like that
But you know,
yesterday too.
you see what time it is.
Yeah, I do. I do.
You do.
Mm.
I see what
Yeah,
time it is.
it's time.
Now, we got to talk this thing out. We got to talk this thing out. When
Oh,
we
because
gonna
we
see
don't
the
have
people
our
again?
outro.
We don't have our outro. We can listen, Mom.
Dog. And
No,
the outro is when
nothing
I
is
get
working.
prepared.
The
That's when I
outro
get
is
my
when
calendar ready.
you
Oh
can't do that right now.
shoot.
Let me go full screen so you can get to your calendar. That's all I can
Oh
do.
no, I got it. I got it. I found
Okay,
it.
let me bring
We
you
here.
back. Let me bring you back. Boom.
Ooh,
There
April.
she
April
is.
is a long month. We'll be back. We won't be back till the 30th.
The 30th.
We might have to come back and see y'all another day too.
You think
Yeah,
so?
April 30th is
We
the next last Sunday.
well, we might need to, we may need to come in here and test
Right.
some things out and
We're
make
gonna
sure
come back and practice mid-April. Make sure everything works.
we gonna try to get you
Oh,
guys in. We might do a little mid-month
right. A
show.
month check-in.
Clearly, we
And
need it.
so y'all can help us get it together.
Well, I want to thank
Ooh,
everybody who has made it through this podcast. You are true.
me too.
You are
I want to
love.
thank you. Follow us. There we go. I couldn't remember the rest of the song
For
for a minute.
watching our podcast. It was
Mm,
messing up. We had
it
some
was
technical difficulties
too
and
many,
it tried to stop us. But I
but it didn't.
know it didn't. We just making
Mm,
our word. I know it's bad. Y'all, it's after 7 o'clock. Thank everybody who chimed in for the Brown South Girls podcast. We had a
yeah,
whole lot of
we
fun,
did.
even though we had a whole lot of difficulties. And that should tell you
Right.
something too. Don't give up.
Mm-mm.
Look at
Keep pushing.
yourself. Ask yourself, is it worth it? Do I like it? Does it bring value? And if it does, if you can say yes to some of those things, then keep going, keep striving. And if you like having good conversations, we're going to try to keep bringing good conversations to you. All right?
We will.
How our
All
theme
right.
music usually go.
And then the for the train running through the background.
Yeah. So y'all imagine our outro. Boom, boom,
Right.
boom.
Insert outro here.
All right, y'all. Peace out.
Bye, y'all.